welcome back, everybody. Everyone's level 10. Round of applause, max level. Yeah, max level. You did it.
Bring on the 10th level problems. I mean 12th level.
Bring on the confetti. So, this is a level up session for those who have, like Rob, who are new to this. This is where we're taking a break from playing. We're helping anyone level up who needs help, otherwise talking about what we've done with our builds. And then we're going to do a bit of world building. In this case, talking about how we jump from level 8 to level 10, super montage our way to the final confrontation with the Great Ghoul, the big bad evil of the campaign. Ellen.
Well, we didn't jump from 8 to 10. We got to 9 pretty legitimately.
You did get to 9 legitimately, so we're just got to cover the, level 9.
This bump you've given us.
It's not 2 level jump.
It's not utterly unearned.
All right. Ellen, who are you? Who are you playing? And what is a memorable moment from when the Dame was level 1?
My name is Ellen. I play Dame Curie Jadespine, the Dwarven Operatic Bard, head of the Jadespine clan. And a memorable moment from when the Dame is level 1. I think that would have to be like way back at the beginning. Like one of the very first things the Dame did was basically strut into the VIP area of like a casino gambling hall thing and talk her way into getting a special diplomatic pass into the Elf Queen's territory at a time that they were about to go to war. She got herself, she talked her way in as a dwarf.
Calia, like, break the, like, animal racing ring?
Yeah, Calia, like, breed a bunch of, like, semi-feral, like, racing things. I don't know.
Did the Crusader ever take care of the one she kept?
We don't know. She immediately broke up with the Crusader, so...
Probably not. Rob?
Come back to me. I'm looking for my notes.
That's fine and fair. Pow.
Alright. So, I'm Leanne Morris, and I don't think Leanne was ever level 1. She came in at a later level.
Yeah, what level did you start playing Leanne as? Like 3, 4?
3 or 4, that sounds about right. She did end up helping lead and take charge of a murder mystery. That was fun.
Yeah. No, maybe it was lower level, because, like, we didn't play on Roll20 that long. I think I gave you guys level 2 after you fought the Abomination.
Oh, in that case, I was level 2 then, probably.
We can shift this question to a low level memory, I guess, but
yeah, because Leanne 1 was never level 1. I know for a fact she was.
Well, certainly she had a story before she met the party.
Yes, but those details are in the fog of history and will not be answered today.
All right.
Well, what was Johnny doing then?
Johnny, good old Johnny. He was using Shadow Step.
Yep, that sounds about right.
I would always argue that it's not invisibility.
Oh yeah, classic edgy rogue.
Also, he blew up a statue bridge. That was fun.
Oh yeah, that was quite the use of an icon relationship early on. Blowing up a whole bridge.
I think it was an icon thing, and then also the rogue momentum stunt.
Possibly, yeah. Max.
Max, I play Lucian. I'm pretty sure that I started with like 17 or 18 AC, which was considered OP at the time.
You were a tanky boy. You are still a tanky boy.
Yeah, and I think Lucian was the only one who was there for the very first session.
No,
He's correct.
well, yeah, he is, because I played Graham.
Yeah, he's the only one of the OG crew still around.
I only played Graham for
the training or whatever until they
Yeah.
left that camp. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was always going to play the Dame, but there wasn't like a reason for the Dame to go to the training camp, and so I had like a throwaway for that one.
The Dame was my plot hook for why you guys were going to be together.
Yeah.
And we had like 8 people all trying to play at once on Roll20. And which was my mistake, right? I should have split up the group, but I didn't.
So did
The
people
lone
who
survivor.
Yeah, did characters who died just drop out? Was this like a battle royale?
None of them died.
None of them died.
Yeah.
None of them died, but between me being like, I hadn't jammed in a couple years, and it was a new system that I had only tried out a little, and we had 8 people all trying to learn the character sheets at once. Turns like took 30 minutes or something like that. And so a lot of people were like, this isn't, that went very poorly, and they never came back. And I
Got it.
don't really blame them.
Well, I blame them because I know for a fact half of them didn't read the rule book. All right, they didn't even look at one page.
Yeah.
Also fair.
I think there's sort of an expectation, like, the game master as entertainer is, I feel like frequently, like, takes the heat for if you're inviting us to a game, we must just be able to play, right? I get that, but it is something that happens. So
There's a lot of things I've learned. Like, I should have probably ran the core book, like, adventure or, like, some of the other official content, and instead I'm like, oh, we got all these people together. We're going to do like a homebrew. Like, they're going to meet up. They're going to be paid to be trained as militia by the Empire for this upcoming war as peace forces. And then they're going to be attacked they're going to go investigate some kobolds who attacked like a caravan. It was a fine story setup, but like, I didn't have anything to help me with like, oh, here's how you might do, icon relationships in relation to this, or, here's a fair fight, which a fair fight chart would have told me 8 people is too many because it doesn't go up that
It's not
high.
even on the chart. That's true. What chart? Hey, there's no chart for 8. I think this book is defective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But, here we are, like 3 years later.
Right. Okay. That's fine.
And a lot of other people like had starter characters. Like Pow played Johnny, but then they, swapped to something else later.
Yeah, Leanne was meant to be the secondary.
And if they didn't do that, they later like reworked their characters, which 13th Age lets you do, which is nice. Speaking of characters, Pow, I know you've actually leveled up. Max has leveled up. Why don't you start out by telling us what you've done with your level up?
I added one new command to my repertoire.
Okay.
Would you like to know which one?
I would.
Force a conclusion, the 9th level tactic. The effect. If the escalation die is 2+, roll the escalation die and use the new result.
I've always liked the idea of this because, like, you're always recommended to have a physical D6, and being able to roll it sounds like a lot of fun. Because it's supposed to be, like, the biggest D6 you can possibly acquire. I know Rob has, like, a huge one.
Yes, it's huge.
Do you have an equally huge D8?
No.
It's a shame.
The one time I played in person, I 3D printed a giant D6 for the escalation die. Otherwise you have 20 strength and 20 charisma, and everything else is all the way down there.
Yep. I have my feats set up. There's not really much to say. The only thing I did was I added the epic feat to my command that lets an ally take an extra standard action.
Nice.
So now they gain temporary HP.
Oh boy. I'm being told players are hard to hear.
Oh,
Hold on. I'm trying to fix it. While I try to fix that, why is that not working? Max, what did you do?
With my level up?
Yep.
You guys hear me okay?
We can hear you, but yeah.
It's really quiet.
No,
actually, you're
no.
fine.
Yeah, you're
It's-
fine.
To us,
it's
so
fine.
clear.
It's fine in the Discord chat. It's apparently not fine on stream.
I turned it up. Hopefully it should be good now.
Yeah, my level up is not very exciting. The only thing of note maybe is my archery. I got the epic feat, so once per day I could turn a normal hit into a ranger crit. I still have favorite enemy, but I took away one of the feats to be able to change it, so it'll just always be undead. And that way I could add the champion and epic feat to archery.
Nice, nice.
Besides that, yeah, leveled up abilities. Oh, for backgrounds, instead of just saying Alpha Wolf for a background, I put the Priestess's champion for the +5.
Yeah, and you're also a living dungeon slayer now.
Yes.
Are we all supposed to have that background now?
No.
I
But-
just changed
I'm the one who killed it.
Do I really feel like I'm from a small town guy? Like, can I use that background
Wow.
as much as, like, I can use my adventure background over the last few years?
It does feel like you might have outgrown that.
Yeah. If,
So,
as part of this, if you guys want to look at your backgrounds and rework, redistribute based on your experiences, feel free.
I mean, I'm happy with my backgrounds. I'm just saying, like, I am closer to a living dungeon slayer than you should be.
sure.
It was a team effort, and it was a campaign-long effort, so, you know. That said, he's getting less value out of that than you are a dabbling cook, so, you know.
You know, that is true. I dabble in cookery a lot.
The biggest thing is that I had a lot less magic items than I could have, and I think that was also partially like I was very, very new to just, I guess, role-playing in general, not just the systems in 13th Age. So when I started, I just picked a basic kit, and then I've changed it around a little bit more, but now I feel like I'm decent enough to manage my items, so I added it so that I have now the maximum 10 magic items, which I'm sure we'll cover in the montage of how I actually
wow.
added them.
Okay, alright.
Yeah, and also Max entered his items by himself. I'm very proud.
Okay. And
And
did you
I
get
made
your...
quick toggles for stuff that will give me plus AC bonuses for however long.
So the +1 bonuses to 3 stats are something we add ourselves, right? Like, it's not looked into the system. Okay.
Correct.
Alright. So you'll tell us magic item stories and about how their quirks change your life?
Yeah.
Good.
They pretty much all align with the priestess or
Oh, cool.
protecting others or something.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, and certainly you guys have gotten enough money from everything that if you don't have all 10 of your slots full, help yourself to pretty much anything but like the story items in the Book of Loot or, you know, Loot Harder.
Well, I do have an open slot.
So, Ellen, Dame, Kiri, Jade, fine. You are, looks like you are starting to level up to level 10.
Yeah, I'm just doing my
Let's see, as Bard, as a reminder, all of your spells and songs, every single one should be level 7. Sorry, level 9.
Level 9, yeah. So we frequently had issues when I actually update the level, it doesn't actually change shit when in the rolls. I am not. How do I actually update it so that like it rolls properly?
It depends on the spell or song. But for instance, like Sound Burst, which is currently level 7, it says, it says hit 8d10 plus charisma, which
At level 9, that's supposed to be
3d6 times 10. So you would copy that into the hit field, and you would also, when you edit it, mark the level 7. Although I think next version of the system, which I probably should have updated to, will changes that to just always roll the highest damage that the level has access to. So that will be easier in the future, I think.
Okay, so let me just test that's rolling right now.
As a reminder, the Testbed Cave Arena is where you can go blast mooks all you want.
That's not rolling right.
You copied the X in, and I understand you did exactly what I told you to do.
Asterisk instead?
Asterisk instead. Now, Rob, I know you also just learned that we're at level 10. With being a monk, I think that got, let's check your progression chart. That got you another epic form, it looks like.
Yeah, it did. I'm looking. I left. Apparently, I left my book in the place I'm house sitting, so I am looking online here.
You can use the import powers button as well.
Yeah, I will. Oh, I see. To check things out. Got it. Yeah, it looks like those incremental advances that accomplish a lot of things.
Yep. Hey, I really like the design of incrementals, of spreading out your level up.
Yeah. Because I had 9 feats already, so I only need 1. Basically, I need a feat. I already did, and I need a epic tier form, and then that's an interesting question. How many magic items I had? Let's see. All right, epic tier form. I should probably.
It looks like you had 9 items, so you only need, I believe, 1 more.
Yeah.
If you would like.
Done that too. Yep. All right. Well, I think I'm going to figure out the item later. I have to admit.
That's all right.
I'll figure out the form right now.
I'll probably message Rumham to make sure she's set up, but as a reminder, we're not playing next week for Memorial Day, so we, got a bit of time to finalize anything you want.
But my head of the situation is that our commander makes the escalation die go up frequently.
He does, yes.
And so it is not necessarily the case that people need me to be doing that.
I mean,
Look, I turn it into a D8, and I can make it roll, but I can't accelerate the process.
yeah, I really think you two can work together. He makes it bigger and you advance it faster.
I have at least one other ability that's doing that, and so I will take Spiral Path. Go ahead and let's take a look here. So that's Quick Shadow. Yeah, so that'll add that. So Spiral Path, I'll just need. Oh wait. Hold on a second.
This may be a really embarrassing question to ask while we're level 10, but do enemies are they not able to, like, escalation die does not affect them at all?
There are...
We got to level 10, and you're asking this now.
Wait, what?
I thought the
Hold on a second.
escalation die was like to make it so that like the fight wrapped up a little bit faster, and so everyone started to hit a little higher.
No,
It's just us.
No,
That's
only
yes.
us.
Congratulations! You have enjoyed the feeling of power of beating. Yes, that it is only us. It is the.
Except a couple
dragons.
rare enemies, including the dungeon dragon you just fought, did escalate.
So maybe you were fighting particular fights that like were badass, and they were using it. That's in general, though.
You know, I've actually never run like a de-escalator. I know there's a couple monsters that do that, and I've never had that happen.
Well, looks like it's too late now.
Well, there's always, the last final fight.
Too late. There's no way to know.
It's impossible.
Yep. Okay, I will take care of that. I'm gonna have to mess around with this to make it work. Let's see.
Yeah, Monk has so many things. Yeah, speaking of the next fight. So again, we're not playing Memorial Day. And then the week after that, everyone should be back. And we will do one final fight. A killer level big bag evil fight.
June 5th.
The Great Ghoul is a level 13 enemy. The Stone Thief was level 10. The Stone Thief was a triple strength level 10, but the Great Ghoul is a triple strength level 13.
Yay.
Not only that, you only fought just the Stone Thief. You're not going to fight just the Great Ghoul.
Foreshadowing. Why is it so dark?
Why is it so dark? For...
Oh, I took that too. Wow, okay, so...
In order to make that work a little smoother, and I'm sorry, Lucian, but maybe you're just distributing these out. I want everyone to have 4 epic tier health potions in their pocket.
4 epic healing potions.
Yep.
That's it.
We did not come that prepared for the biggest fight in our lives.
4 each is still 20 across all of you.
Yeah.
And high-level health potions are probably hard to come by. And again, we're going to montage, and I think it'll make a little more sense about why some resources have depleted.
Hey Cody, can you take a look at the Song of Aid
Yes.
on my sheet? I think it's ancient, and therefore it's up. So if we still had epic healing potions left over, do we get 4 in addition to what we have, or do we just have 4?
Just 4.
Do I get like a reimbursement on my taxes from this? Or?
Yeah, actually, real quick, if all of you could roll me, let's see. Where was it? This was... If all of you could roll me 4d6 times 400. That is how much gold you have looted and or been paid from the wreckage of the Stone Thief.
May I convert it to platinum?
Of course.
I should probably keep some small change on me, shouldn't I?
You mean silver and copper?
Yeah.
Really, I spent quite a bit. Festivities. working on my character. I have to get down to 6 forms, so I think Spiral, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes,
So,
yes.
should we roll for how much money Dahlia gets, or do we hunt her when she gets back?
That would be funny.
You know, all right. So there's 4 of you. I want each of you to roll me a d6.
Alright, well, she never paid me back. She never paid me back my gold.
What are we doing? Sorry?
We're rolling for Kalia's.
Oh, that's funny.
For
Okay.
Kalia's money, she's always broke.
Just slap a d6 down.
I like the nice of this program. Sometimes, like, they show one thing and then they just, like, one final twitch. Two of us rolled once. Alright.
Oh, poor
man.
Kalia.
I'm up to 60 ongoing acid damage. On
Wait.
Breath of the Black.
That's funny because the way you said it, I thought you were taking it at the moment. It's like,
No.
GM gives us treasure, but every time it's acid damage.
Oh yeah, wait.
I'm getting the big damage numbers.
Hey, I know it's level 10, but I'm supposed to always take ongoing damage the rest of the campaign, right?
I've never made my save.
I've never made my save, guys.
Oh.
Yeah, Cody, just making sure it's still on the list for this I think basically the entry in the character builder was just so old, the formula doesn't look right.
Okay, I'm taking a look now.
Oh, wait. It just, yeah. I don't, or wait, no.
What looks wrong with it?
I think I misread. Where does it? There it is. Never mind. I found it. I'm sorry. I was like misreading what the spell was, and I'm just like, wait, it doesn't look right.
Yeah, it gives temporary health.
No.
And you sustain on a 7+.
Yep.
Let's see. When you're taking a feat, is that in importing power deck?
You go to the power that has the feat, unless, like, I'm assuming it's you, and then
Yeah.
you click the little. You can either edit it or click the little dots in the list.
Let's see, maybe one of those. Let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. Got it. Click it. Got it. Found it. Yep.
Cool.
Okay. There's 3 spots it could have been. I was just looking at the wrong one, so I did it.
So I now have a song that's a quick action that will give 98 temporary hit points.
It's pretty good. As a reminder, they don't stack.
They do not stack, but I can still, like, just sort of move that around. I also have on escalation die 4+, each target, which is me and all my nearby allies, can roll a d20 for each expended daily, recharge, and per battle power and spell.
Wow.
Really?
Plus, if it rolls an 11+, you regain it.
Oh, cool. And that might work together with the procession of the sun and the moon to make Cody's brain hemorrhage. I mean, to really work well. Okay. So wait, what kind of power is it? Is it during a combat?
That one's a close quarters spell. Yep.
So yes.
Quarter spell. Yeah.
She can
I
use
think
that
that's a little
mid-combat.
Just everyone refill.
Refill. Okay.
Yeah, luckily, Procession of the Sun and Moon is only outside of battle.
Yeah. Only.
Only.
All right. Well, Core now has something I got to keep track of, which is the feat for the spiral path. The one thing he was missing lets him just take another monk talent.
Okay.
1 battle per day. So that means I sort of got to keep track of what we need and maybe do something surprising.
Let me add something for you. I'm going to add a custom resource that's once per day, right?
Okay, thank you.
Um,
Are you? You're just gonna make a thing where you're not gonna program it all. You're just gonna go ahead and say, "Hey, there it is. Hit it or don't."
well, yeah. So if you look on your sheet to the right of res, I called it talent, but we can call it something else that makes more sense to you.
See talent 101. Yeah, I see it.
So you can
Okay.
once, and then the settings let me say refill that on full heal up so that
Got it.
it's all tied in.
All right. Cool.
There are a lot of Dark Alleys and Twisted Paths is like the only third-party expansion book, and they have a lot of custom resources. So
Yeah.
that got added, I think, by LegoFed at one point to support all that.
Okay.
And it's useful. Anyway, does anyone else have level up questions or thoughts or comments, or shall we move on to our super montage?
Ready for super montage.
Yeah. Except, you know what? I'm gonna give a shout out to. I wasn't first level with you guys, so here's a shout out to Quint, the dwarven engineer who had a submersible in a hellhole, and Vosh, who was an imperial arbiter, which means a Himakti from Glorantha, and there was Keiko, who was a troll from Trudvang in 13th Age, born from a flower, and I think Tim Baker was playing Belisarius, some sort of weird diabolist who. Here's his quote. I found it. Do you know how many elf maidens have scandals with the Emperor? No, you don't, because I do my job.
Tim Baker's great.
And then the next one goes, and I think somebody in our group, some wit said, you're on her list, the Diabo list. And it went on from there. So, yeah, those guys, I don't know what happened to those guys, man. Maybe they went to a better world.
Just a quick question on the, I guess, thing we're about to embark on. Have you already come up with a plan, or are you going to be asking us what our characters would like to do?
I have a general structure. I have a point we're getting to. But in between, a lot is left up to you guys. So here is a document that I'll be jotting notes in as we go. Here's the general structure. We're going to talk about the immediate aftermath of defeating the Stone Thief. We're then going to talk about what's happened to Oasis, the fake city that's became real and now wasn't even destroyed mostly. We're going to then talk about the next year where, having been foiled and its greatest asset being taken away from it, the Great Ghoul moves from a figure in the background to an active participant in the world. And the allied icons of the world and you guys wage war against it. And we're also going to talk about the real friends you've made along the way.
Which is that one gnome.
That one gnome, yeah.
The guy who took us on his boat.
At the end of this, you guys will be at the epicenter of the final fight against the Great Ghoul's final entourage of defenders and forces, and facing him himself. So that's where we need to get. But where we are right now is you just defeated the Stone Thief. So we're going to start off with the aftermath. And let me rearrange my windows so I can make this easier for myself. Ellen, Dame Kiri Jathvan. When the Stone Thief fell, its body and its levels were strewn across the red wastes. Some of it buried deep underground, never to be seen again. Some of it on the surface, making up new things. Some of it just below the surface, making new dungeon areas and such. A lot of the treasure was lost to the lava melt, but not all of it. And certainly there were other parts of the dungeon. What did you and your party do with some of that wreckage?
I don't think the Dane has much interest in exploring, like, trying to explore all of it personally. But I do think she understands how much value there is in it. And so she's probably trying to attempting to organize lower level adventurers to, like, survey what's there and explore it and sponsor their equipment and stuff like that. And basically kind of establish, like, a salvage company, I suppose, as, like, a branch of the Jade Spine Enterprises, with a particular interest, for the name at least, in restoring dwarven artifacts to their rightful homes. But I don't think she herself is very interested in going into a lot of these dungeons.
Okay. Rob, I want you to roll me a D13. Which isn't a real dice, but, you know, virtual tabletops is.
/R D13.
Yep. All right.
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rob, the ossuary, the place made of bones and decrepit bodies and blood, where the flesh tailor had resided and created undead machinations for the stone thief, has ended up just outside of the city of Oasis. What did you guys do about this problem?
Man, it's like there's a alliteration going on. The Oasis ossuary.
That's one hell of a tourist trap.
That's really big.
Yeah, no kidding. Is that not the Paris catacombs?
Teeming with undead. All right. So, are you asking me about the entire group, or are you asking me about Core?
This is like Core probably led the efforts, but your party probably helped you.
Okay, but you said it was like the icons getting together, basically.
Yes.
A little bit. All right. So, I think what Core did. That was calling on the resources of the rest of the group was that having. I don't know if I'm going to do a real world tangent here as an example. Did any of you have people who you went to high school with who were like real problems in high school, but then they turn out to be like pop stars or like internationally known athletes, you know, and everybody remembers, oh yeah, they were great. Okay, that's Core now. Core helped kill the stone thief, and both of the monasteries that essentially, I mean, when Core says that he never said graduate of 2 monasteries, you know, both monasteries were unhappy with Core for more personal initiative and probably disrespect to teachers that, but now both the Black and the Emperor really, really want to claim Core as their own. So much so that both the Black and the Emperor are willing to send their students to Core for him to lead the students together in his own monastery to clear out, and clearing out the ossuary is just a 3rd semester. That's what I got.
Okay.
up with a name. Let me think. I'll come up with a name for the joint monastery.
Okay, okay.
It's called the Shadow Crown.
Okay, you know, it's simple, but I like it. You know, I'm just going to immediately add the Shadow Crown to the real friends we've made along the way. And while I'm at it, the Jade Spines, of course. Leanne, you, I believe, finally accepted the promotion to head legislator.
Yep.
You are personally entrusted by the Emperor to shape and lead this faction in whichever way you believe is the best for the Empire. Tell us, with the new resources derived from the wreckage and the aftermath of defeating the Stone Thief, where are you guiding these people?
Well, at the core, legislation is a group of the Empire that works best in essentially being elite troops that handle criminals throughout the Empire. So she sets up a training ground. That's what she's doing. She's setting them up so that they can roam like she did, and eventually find their own groups of adventurers to roll with to take care of the issues of the Empire.
Is she doing this in Oasis near some of the wreckage, or is this back in the Empire?
Well, the Empire would be beneficial, but Oasis has a lot of freshly developed territory it potentially hazardous environments for training purposes.
Plus, it has no formal government and a lot of brand new issues.
Which,
Wouldn't a lot of the people coming out of the Stone Thief be injured also?
Probably.
yeah.
So they wouldn't have to. If you're training them for the world, probably making them want to somehow get to that training camp halfway across the world isn't a good idea.
Speaking of people being injured and needing aid, Lucian, a great magical barrier had been erected over the entirety of the area where you placed the trap for the thief. It was both arcane and divine magic woven together and by archmage forces and priestess forces, and a collaboration that pretty much hadn't been seen before at that scale. When the Stone Thief died, the wards were tried, and some of them failed, but the rest merged together into a new aura. And there's a new group of students trying to learn both arcane and divine magic as one class. They are seeking your guidance spiritually, and possibly also eventually. What are you doing with all of these new sorcerers and wizards trying to learn the divine, and priests and priestesses who are trying to learn how to fight a bit more?
Sure. And also, like, did you have a plan for Balrin at all?
Balrin died.
Oh, I was gonna say he could have been one of the people, like a broken wing, one of the refugees that came up in the end could actually make a final decision on him.
Certainly you would have found the body, and certainly someone could have cast resurrection on him.
Oh, when did he die?
He died in the Stone Thief after he got split up from the group, the previous run-in.
Gotcha. Okay.
Him and Lario, I think, were together.
I'm sure that nobody resurrected him, so never mind.
Well, I think that's a good question for, Lucian might have posed to Leanne, is this is this someone, he was a capable adventurer, is he worth being brought back?
I didn't know that Leanne has that.
Yeah.
Dan has access to the resources now, though, to go find somebody else who could cast it.
Lucian has access to people who could cast resurrection, but Leanne has access, is the kind of person who would make that kind of decision.
Oh yeah, Lucian would not have the relationship at all with Pelgrane to make that suggestion over any of the other fallen allies. So,
Okay.
nope. And then literally, if somebody's coming to him for magic and word advice, they're really going to the wrong person. But even spiritually, like, he's not really that good. What, at prayers and all this stuff? Like, he's a fighter just trying to fight for what's good, so he's really not going to be too much help to what sounds like a new group of mages.
Are you telling me that Kalia does prayers better than the Lucian's boy?
Yeah, you literally control your lycanthropy with prayer.
Well, with inner calm and I guess the help of her, but he doesn't say the words. Like, he's not like, I don't know. He's not going to be Father Noah or some, you know.
He isn't, but
Lucian is away with words.
It's one of those things where, like, even if you try to be like, no, I can't help you, like, people follow you around. People, like, you are elite. People look up to you now. You've done a great, mighty thing. You've been personally endorsed by the priestess. Try as Lucian might, they're listening to what he says and doesn't say and trying to follow.
Yeah, I guess he's going in the right direction is really all Lucian's going to be able to do, because yeah, he's not going to be a good teacher for magic. He doesn't actually have any.
Are you okay if we talk about Lucian for 1 second?
Yeah.
I love the idea when there were characters, like, we were hearing Lucian's self-concept, like, but the funny thing is the rest of the world isn't reacting to you that way at all. Like, you're like, nobody should ever learn from me, and everybody's like, the wise one says that no one should ever learn. So
What they don't know about the fact that Lucian had his pet dog shit in a box 4 separate times.
The wise
For the
one,
same person.
the wise one shows us that there are many paths to enlightenment. Sometimes enlightenment is shit in a box. I think we could go all day here.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, I love the fact that, like, you know, I'm a man of action. Everybody's like, well, watch and see your actions.
This is on toward the table. Rumham isn't here, but certainly Kalia is involved. Where Lucian is, you know, Lucian is someone who found peace and solace in religion, but Kalia is someone who was born in Azamir and found religion didn't really work for her that well, despite how much it was foisted on her. The only god who responds to her now is her own dad. What does her aftermath story look like?
Honestly, I could see her not willingly, but unwittingly sharing the prospects of being like a protector, a friend, like a protector position in groups. Brain words.
Yeah,
Like a vanguard, a guardian.
I think there's lots of people who aren't magic, aren't traditional trained adventurers, don't have access to iconic powers or great, you know, things, but they want to help and save their town. Maybe the generic town guard, or people who just want to, you know, be low level NPCs. Find a leader in her.
I could also see Talia taking up a role as, like, alongside, like, one of these other, like, we have a lot of these different schools and stuff happening leadership role for these students. Not so much a full-on teacher, but like the upperclassmen, like, oh yeah, that's really tricky. Here, I'll cover you while you practice, kind of thing. I could also see her settling into something like that.
I'll be honest. I can definitely see Galia also having ties into the legislature returning.
Yeah. She's kind of like the visiting professor. Like one day she's at, town guard training, and the next day she's over helping legislators, and the next day she's off being pummeled by monks and like, ha ha ha, you'll have to punch harder than that.
The next day she's at the tavern. No one's seen her for a day, the whole entire day. They find her in a ditch. She's hungover.
Yeah. No, that feels right.
All right, so we talked about some of the immediate aftermath. I think some of this has spilled over to the next section, but Oasis now has training monks. It has this new hybrid arcane, divine branch. It has legislators. It has thriving trade and business and salvage operations. People are flooding in order to take advantage of this new access to commerce and items and relics. There are researchers, there's museums, and there's a lot of rebuilding buildings that weren't designed to last longer than a few weeks. Ellen, what is one way Oasis grows in the next year?
Well, you need beyond basic things like it has a town guard now. I think Oasis kind of becomes. We've talked about Oasis in the parallel with Nomad and how Nomad's sort of like this key point on this whole trade route. And I think Oasis kind of becomes that southern version of it, opening up another passage through the Red Waste and sort of therefore opening up settlement across the Red Waste with people trying to expand, and actually make use of that land instead of just letting it be like this massive desert. So I think, I guess I'm not quite sure what you're looking for, but I'm seeing, there's this whole trade route that's now sprung up to support Oasis, but I'm also seeing probably just things that have to happen by virtue of it being the city now. I'm seeing a huge expansion of schools and domestic population instead of just an adult population there, as people are actually making building families here and not just get rich quick schemes.
Okay. Was there a celebration when the first person was born in Oasis?
I think that had already happened prior to the Great Ghoul. Because...
You mean the Stone Thief?
Prior to the Stone Thief, just because people are people.
Yeah, but it takes 9 months, but...
I know, I think some of the people who showed up trying to get rich quick on the whole free real estate thing were absolutely young families with already heavily pregnant wives.
Honey, pack your bags, and we're going to the middle of the dangerous desert.
This is for a free house, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, here's my stance on the matter. The first birth already happened. It was Raza.
That that's true. We do need to talk about let's go back to Aftermath. Raza died, and then he became an egg, and then he hatched again while you guys were in the Stone Thief. But now he has dragon wings, and...
Question.
Yeah.
Question. Is Raza at this point considered a legally distinct entity from his previous, incarnation?
That depends on how much of Raza's memory is intact.
Raza was a instinctual creature who was slowly learning how to interact with society. it seems all of his martial memories are there. And he does, like, go easy on you guys and listen to your party, but that's about it.
I would say then, in that situation, this Raza is technically a different individual than him.
Okay, so therefore, his previous contract with the Dwarf King is not still legally, like, this incarnation, this, like, baby dragon Raza, doesn't have any claim over that contract.
I would say not.
That's pretty
I would say
rude.
the contract is not very binding anymore.
Okay.
Raza grows wings and suddenly your contract's not valid. Rude.
Look, Raza lost their memory. Their memories, they're essentially familiar, but not the same individual anymore.
Because if it is legally binding, then I think the Dame is going to sort of take responsibility for Raza because, like, Raza owns lands near the Jadespine lands, like, and so.
One would argue for the land still being his, but at that point, someone should probably take over Bergen, take custody of the lands.
Yeah, which is kind of what the Dame's, like, proposing to do, of, like, essentially fine, like she'll take over the responsibility, or at least the Jadespine clan, she'll add him to the rapidly growing clutch of weird creatures that the Jadespine clan is sort of taken under their wing, in addition to taking temporary custody of, or possessionship of, the lands and administering them with the intention of transferring them to Raza, Dragon Raza, once he's, you know, of age.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable approach.
Okay. And he does grow larger quickly. It seems he is growing at a much accelerated pace. By the... Go ahead.
Absolutely does not mean, just for the record, that the Dame is actually, like, hand-rearing Dragon Raza. She's more like doing the, alright, I will acquire nannies for you approach to child rearing.
Yeah, Dame, are you, like, your manor got eaten, and now you have a new hand-built location in Oasis halfway across the Empire. How are you, like, divvying up your Jadespine tasks?
She's opening up essentially a new branch of the business here in Oasis. That's what she's doing with, like, all of the adventure surveys and stuff like that. And she's planning on using the house in Oasis as the headquarters, like, for that business. And with the intention of eventually either staying there permanently herself or assigning an overseer and returning to the traditional lands. Potentially going up there and telling y'all, hey dude, you gotta get yourself to the Red Waste, I'm putting you in charge there.
Who are you going to leave in charge back home, then?
Well, no, then she would go be in charge back home. So it's kind of got to figure out who's going to take over the second branch.
Oh, right,
There's
so...
a lot of letters going back and forth.
Back to Oasis. Rob, cities grow a lot in a year, especially with a huge amount of activity like what's going on. What's another way Oasis grows?
Okay, I've got two things. One of them is nothing to do with core, really, and the other one is definitely to do with core.
All right.
The one that's nothing to do with core is that Underhome, parts of Underhome, the ancient dwarven world, lost when in the fight against the elves and the poisoning. The Stone Thief had pieces of it, significant pieces of it, pieces that the dwarves really recognize once they're spilled out on the ground. And Oasis becomes a pilgrimage point, and the dwarves take an active interest in the surface world in a way they really tend not to, because there's pieces of their heritage that are here that really, really matter to the dwarf king. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but that happens. And then the other piece of it is that whatever 10th level magic item my core ends up having, it's going to be something associated with the last Grand Master of Flowers, who died at some point fighting the Terrible Emperor, or perhaps the Ogre Magi, and that's going to matter to core.
What's the last Grandmaster's name?
Oh, Grand Master of Flowers.
Okay. All right. I'll shift that around real quick. Leanne.
With me, Oasis.
We've got a lot of icons here now. We've got the druid with the original like magic oasis making up the namesake of the city. We've got the emperor and dwarves. We've got the Prince of Shadows had a lot of things. Donate it, undonate. We've got the 3 involved.
Yeah. So Leanne is very much she knows her way around bureaucracy. And she's already mentioned taking this position beforehand. But due to the way of the Stone Thief and all of the stolen goods it's taken, pretty much for the year in the foreseeable future until the Stone Thief has been picked out, Oasis is essentially a very functioning bureaucratic system of processing reclamations of various artifacts found within the Stone Thief. Which also makes it surprisingly strict against contraband being brought in to site. Oh, here's something more related to what I was thinking off the top of my head. Leanne's dad, good old Cardon. He's coming to Oasis.
Who is he?
Leanne's dad.
And yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Is the leader of the Gravity Weavers cult. And back in the time, they were researching the Stone Thief and its heart as a source of power to shift their rituals power source to.
I like that. Okay.
And he's going to show up to search for any remnants that they find in the Stone Thief, for one. And 2, with the Stone Thief gone, they can do their research on what remains and potentially open up a proper teleportation network, allowing transportation across long distances as a nexus of sorts.
I like it. Okay. Max, anything else for Oasis?
No, so I think that we should be going out on like hunting expeditions, or just trying to see, I guess, what's out there, or helping Core to clear some stuff out nearby. But, like, whereas Dane is comfortable being like, allocating archaeology stuff and training people and whatnot, and just being part of the political system. Lucian is very much not good, or not that person. So he would be off with Chris, exploring or helping people that are rooted, trying to get out of the Stone still, or something like that. So I think he'd be leaving the group for a lot of the political stuff.
Okay. So that brings us to like immediately after the Stone Thief, and week 1, and then we have like month 1 to 3 where like Oasis grows and such, and some of that happens over the next year. But right around that 2 to 3 month mark, the Great Ghoul's forces have become extremely active. Open, blatant attacks against cities and their walls. The dragging away of mass bodies and graves, fighting off people trying to stop them. And the icons all come together. Well, all the allied icons, who really... The Orc Lord's off doing whatever he's doing. The Lich King's doing what he's doing, but... The main icons you guys care about come together to lead their forces. Elves fighting alongside dwarves after a long battle, along with the Empire, with all the adventuring bands and students of yours. More and more, this war evolves and takes over every aspect of life. And you guys are leading in the front lines. You're taking your students you've trained up over the last few months out into excursions. You're fighting hordes of jackals and their mages and the terrifying creatures that they are summoning up with death energy. Partway into this war, after turning a battle around and routing to one of their strong points, defeating the boss of the area, you guys find a bow. Upon further examination, this has been locked away for some time. This is Windthorn, the very item that was stolen at the start of the campaign, causing the dwarves and elves to go to war. You finally have confirmation this was an outside behavior to spark a war. What do you do with the item?
What's its stats? Hang on.
Have the elves and dwarves officially signed a peace treaty, or did they just sign a ceasefire?
They signed a ceasefire that originally was till the end of the when the Stone Thief was defeated, but that went so well they continued extending it indefinitely.
I'd like to argue that we should use the finding of this bow as the basis to proctor a peace treaty, officially ending the war, to be, like, when it's actually signed, to be, like, symbolized by a representative of the Dwarf King presenting the bow and returning it to a Elven Queen representative.
I'm glad you're volunteering as the Dwarf King representative, Dan.
Oh, she absolutely would.
Anyway, yeah, Dan would gladly push to help with the turning that into a full truce.
The part that was always iffy is even before it was stolen from the Dwarf King's vaults, both forces laid claim to it. It was made with the wood of a living heart tree of the elves, representing a great elvish hero and their soul heart and a tree, but it was imbued with the spirit of a great dwarven warrior.
Right.
So
Maybe a better symbol of it would be both the Dwarf King and an Elf King representative jointly presenting it to a third party to be, held in perpetuity as a symbol of the races coming together to, among other things, engineer the defeat of the Stone Thief. Maybe that's a better end story for it.
Who is that third party?
The Empire would work well.
Oasis would also be a great place for it, full of a bunch of museums and literally the city that was built in part out of that allyship.
yeah, it has Underworld, parts of Underworld.
It has parts of Underhome, it has influence from a lot of the other icons as well.
Seems like it needs elves.
Yeah, Oasis basically is like a melting pot at this point.
All right, here's what I'm going to say happens. After this is discovered, and with some great effort, a new living tree is planted in Oasis and tended to magically. It grows quickly, and the center of it is carved out, magically shaped out into a new like 10 by 10 room that holds the item along with some of Underhome's relics. It becomes a joint museum for dwarven and elvish history with the Windthorn as the center.
I like it.
To signify their new peace treaty. All right. Time goes on, and the center of the battlefield between the elves and the dwarves is where the Great Ghoul now reigns. So we're going to go to here quick. We're going to clear out some stuff.
You still have the Civ file you were using to tell how
I
the
don't-
game was going.
I don't know if I still have it. I recreated the Dragon Empire as a Civ map and then put all the icons as factions. And every single time the Diabolists founded Christianity, when I tried it, it was hilarious. All right. This is the territory the Great Ghoul controls. The green. I suppose we don't need the indication of where the stone thief is anymore.
Alright. This is territory we're familiar with.
It is. Many battles are waged, the lines shift over time, cities fall and are razed, but then heroic ventures are made back into the territory to reclaim them. Holbeck, a town that was eaten by the stone thief, the town you started in, that area becomes almost a center point, and that hole where the town once was becomes this mass graveyard pit. And that is, you believe, where the stone thief's center lair is.
Very cool.
Sorry, yes, the Great Ghoul.
It's pretty funny how we have space at our brain for one big evil. It's just like the Great Thief.
That's just the first shot.
The stone ghoul. Okay,
So,
stop. See, I get it. I understand what's happening with the map. Understood.
how do you guys arrive at this center point, where your adventure started and where it will now end? What things led you to this point? And we're going to start with a montage. Dame, introduce something, a complication along the way.
Are we going from Oasis?
Yep, you started in Oasis.
Okay. Then an initial complication is getting across or around the Midland Sea. I assume for speed reasons, we need to go across the Midland Sea.
This war was waged across a whole year, so you have time.
Okay. But either way, we have to arrange transport of some kind, unless we are literally going to take the time to walk the entire way.
Not just transport for you, transport for entire legions of armies.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a complication. Who among you is best fit to arrange such transportation?
That'd be Leanne.
Alright. So, getting entire legions of soldiers across the large amounts of territory, that's always been a challenge. But, the Jade's find the mammoth. And due to the way the that the Gravity Weavers use. They use focus of familiarity, magic, bonds, and memories. I propose that Targa and Leanne are able to create a stable portal that leads to the Jadespine Manor that they can use to help transport troops faster across the lands.
I'm sure she appreciates that. Now she can manage both pretty easily.
I was just gonna say, yeah, Dave's probably willing to invest some, a little bit if, materials and stuff are needed, considering the, vast business applications of this after the fact.
All right, Rob, I know you need to hop off real quick here.
I need one detail to
Okay.
put in, though. The portal is located within the bathroom.
Sorry, within where?
Devastated. The bathroom.
At the place of most familiarity.
You've never been in there, though. It's great. Jade's got it.
All right, Rob, I know you have to drop off real quick here. Why don't you introduce the complication, and then
Okay.
feel free to hop off. Although
All right, I'm sorry I have to go.
that's all right. Two pieces of homework.
5 minutes.
Two pieces of homework before you go. Consider the friends you've made along the way and let me know.
Yes.
And
Okay.
across the next few weeks, consider what it means for core to be an icon.
Whoa. Well, that's the Grandmaster of Flowers.
Mhm.
Okay. Something about the family, given that Dad was probably involved in taking out the first one. All right. Here's a complication. A big piece of the stone thief landed on Omen, and Omen has had time to churn out a strange new living dungeon that is like throwing itself like a pontoon bridge toward Vigil.
Okay, please roll me one more D13.
One more D13. Five.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was part of the Sunken Sea, and from the Sunken Sea, a new terrifying undead creature has emerged. The undead Sortopus.
Of course.
The Swordopus. That was one of the killers. That was one of the things that just
Wait, he
killed
was a
you.
killer?
Yeah, I had to I nerfed it. I nerfed it.
I thought the Sortopus was living in the fountain
I don't remember, but I don't.
in Oasis. I thought
Oh.
Did
Well,
we?
There's probably multiple Sortopi.
that's true. Okay.
All right, thank you so much, Rob. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm sorry I gotta run.
A-okay.
No, you're good.
All right, let me know the rest. It'll be on a document on it somewhere.
Yep.
Good. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
So, you know what? We don't even need that resolve. We're just gonna leave the undead Sortopus as a thing in the world.
But none of us wants to go deal with it. The Highland of Omen is just considered a real bad. The middle of the ocean in general, the Midland Sea, is just not a good place.
No.
All right. Pow, introduce complication.
Involving the War of the Great Ghoul.
Mm-hmm.
With transportation settled, now comes the hard part of dealing with the forces of the Great Ghoul themselves, as well as a way of handling, because the Great Ghoul is well known for somehow just, getting moles within every organization possible, and then giving them those flint trinkets to imbue them with strength so they can succeed in sabotaging everything. We need a way of dealing with those traitors and sniffing them out.
Oh boy, who can solve that?
You know what, Priestess Boy, Lucian,
something?
You need to get them to a court. You need to find them.
No, but like, I mean, I assume they're in the courts of the icons.
They range anywhere from like the supply master of like a certain faction to like the high up, people of the courts. They're everywhere. They're anyone who felt like, oh, I could make a deal with some evil thing to get more power now.
That could be a random, like, just private,
You guys have seen shopkeeps do it. You've seen low level, like low end, leads of a group of troops. Like,
Yeah, I guess there just have to be training programs on how to, like, on why, first off, why that would not work, or why grabbing more power now is and making a deal with the Great Ghoul never works. And if we have to use the Oracle or whatever icons or whatever we have to do to make that common knowledge, and then also just, I don't know, I guess have, like, courses. I'm picturing, like, first day, everyone has to watch. How do you know that your leader is what time?
Are we doing sex ed for the Great Ghoul?
Essentially, I mean, we're running legions and stuff here, so it's like it's got to be, a thing that people are aware of, and we should make it general knowledge.
information campaigns are important.
And that they have these tendencies for looking for power and whatever.
Okay.
I like it. Okay, Max, another complication.
I'll say all these icons aren't used to fighting together. Like, a lot of people can't communicate well with the druids because there's only so many translators or whatnot. Same with, I assume the three are sending some places. Like, I guess what icons are in this thing?
We've got the Ampere, the Dwarf King, the Elf Queen, the Priestess, the Archmage, the three, the High Druid. I think that's all of them.
The Crusader won't.
The Crusader's off doing his own thing after you guys really interrupted his campaign. Also, the Great Ghoul isn't a demon, so he doesn't really care.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll still say, with all those, especially probably the Druid and the three, just coordinating between them for attacks and whatnot, or just even passing along information of, like, how you should give her, like, after a battle. How quickly do you have to respond before the fallen people turn to the ghoul, or, all this stuff. Like,
Sounds like a Dame problem.
It's strange to fight next to a dragon when somebody maybe hasn't even seen one before.
Yeah. Dame?
Let's see. I think the big thing is having a really solid. I think that there's so many aspects to this. I think the first one of like, oh hey, I've never seen a dragonborn before, now I'm supposed to fight next to them. There is a part of those initial training courses, like alongside the like, hey, don't join the Great Ghoul, that's also like, hey, so there's a lot of different kinds of people, right? Let's just clarify. Here's a dragonborn, that's a person. Here's an elf, that's a person. Here's a halfling, that's a person. And just sort of like step through of like, okay, so great, now you've seen everybody and like away, like, and you don't have to sit there and like stare like, oh my god, I've never seen that before, because now you've seen that. Like, I think that's part of the training, is a little bit of like a welcome to the wider world. I think in terms of coordinating between all these different things, we have to establish there's like a, I don't know, like a council of sorts that's sort of sitting above everybody in like the command chain and coordinating like what's going on with everyone, and those are the people who are in charge of their the troops for their respective icon they're representing. And so they're the ones that are coordinating on the much higher level what's going on. And then, establishing, hey, this team, we need you to coordinate with your counterparts. They're here. This is how you talk to them.
Is this the same council that came together for the Stone Thief?
I think it's actually a little bit different because this is more of a military venture. So there's that was a little bit more of a diplomatic council, and this I think is definitely the military's equivalent.
But B-Bear's still there, right?
Of course, course, B-Bear's still there.
That's all that matters.
So, all this leads to one final plan. You guys have identified the center of power, Holbeck, for the Great Ghoul, or what was Holbeck. It is now a mass graveyard where the physical embodiment of the Great Ghoul has been seen. You guys have tactically maneuvered at a high level a feint attack with most of your forces along the western border in order to pull along near Castle Rock in order to pull most of the Great Ghoul's forces there. Of course, some forces are still in Holbeck, but that is why Leanne's dad has sent forward a small group in order to open a small portal. It's only going to be open for long enough to get you and a small group of your allies there. But you will have at least 100 allies at your disposal. These might be the friends you made along the way. These might be some of the people you've been training. These might be some of your fellow adventurers you've inspired. So, what are some of these friends you bring with? Dame?
I think a lot of the people that have been at Jacebank Manor, in particular, there have been the lycanthropes, not just the werewolves, but the werebears and stuff that have been in martial training for a couple of years now.
Yep.
I think those are good ones to bring.
Okay, Pow?
There's one person specific who I don't see as any way not going to join this battle, and that's Alduin.
Yep.
Leanne's probably also going to be taking a squad of legislators with her as a very in-depth field test.
Probably some of the better ones, yeah.
Yeah, definitely the best.
Max?
I would definitely say Johnny and whatever team that he has over in Shadowstone.
Johnny will probably help out.
He trained in the ways of war. the very first thing is in camp for peacekeeping. He's not just a guy.
Yeah, but the point is more, I guess he has enough skin to deal with the ghoul. Yeah.
Okay. Feel free, we don't need to take turns. Feel free to just name other people that might be other NPCs, allies, people, friends you've made.
I think the fake queen and some sentinels.
Oh yeah, Titan, yeah. I think some of those nobles that we met in Shadowport, probably not the one that tried to marry Talia, but a lot of the other ones that we met at that party and stuff.
Okay.
Chromatic wizards.
Do you, let me verify. Do you actually want Usador to show up to the final fight?
I want Usador to show up, and not only Usador, I want Purdy to show up.
Alright.
Should Patches show up?
Patches will be there, but no one will have invited him.
Patches will be there and be fighting on the Great Ghoul side because he was promised a sausage.
Would the Great Ghoul actually work out? Okay, I gotta change my shtick. I can't just offer unlimited cosmic power. I have to, in fact, offer a sausage to this dog.
Yeah, I think he would. Yeah.
Okay.
So, what are the actual icons doing? Are they just managing their world still? Like, none of them actually fight, even though they're level 13?
Like it. They are very important, and a lot of them are very powerful. But and like the Dwarf King often fights in the front lines. He is there on the Western Front. So we'll say, like, if any are actually involved in the fight, it's all in this massive, like, 100,000 people war in the Western Front.
Probably already mentioned in a way, but like Opie and like Layla form the B crew. They probably would contact them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Callie's cult of people that left her from Crusader.
It's not a cult.
Got her Crusader friends that
They don't believe in her.
Okay.
You know what? What about those Dark Elf twins that Johnny was associated with?
Morgus and Merima.
The creepy ones. Where do the Briar Elves fall in all this stuff?
The Briar Elves are corrupted elves, and they were corrupted by the Great Ghoul's power.
Again, Johnny definitely wants the Great Ghoul dead, Ben, yeah.
Other plot points to tie together: the abomination at the start, which they corrupted dragon, corrupted by the Great Ghoul. The Darrow, the deranged dwarves, are also corrupted by the Great Ghoul. And pretty much any corrupted entity was corrupted by his power and force.
Figures.
So, what does the other god of death or whatever make of this? What is the Lich King?
So the Lich King is the icon of undeath. He is a counterpoint to the god of death. He's like, actually, dying's lame. What if we kept being around and not dying?
What if we just didn't die?
What if we just didn't die? What if dying was just, living again? So they don't like each other because they're both vying for corpses and souls. But one of them's, the Great Ghoul derives power by reaping them, and he's been stealing them rather than letting them go to heaven or hell, and that's why he's evil. Whereas the Lich King also prevents them from going to heaven or hell, but pulls them into undead and ghosts on the mortal plane.
Like, he's not trying to be in this war at all.
No, he wants the Great Ghoul to fall, but he's not going to march his army of undead octopi against them.
There's one person that has to be there.
All right,
Gary Bones.
Gary Bones, the legend.
The world's first monk.
The world's first monk. There have been a lot of monks in this campaign.
Maybe some of the people from the underground cave.
Ah, yes, we'll just call it the Underworld. I don't know why I've never called it the Underworld before.
Yeah, we've never really given an official name.
Let's not forget all these snakes that you've been carrying.
I was about to mention the snakes.
They have been one of these. They are like, oh, we're on the surface. Finally, our rightful place. And they've built a new city west of Dustshade. They didn't quite like the red wastes.
That's great. Yeah, Leanne's definitely been ensuring that they are considered properly acknowledged legally.
Awesome.
So,
They probably would send some people along. I think I feel like we're good.
I'm sure I can think of some other groups if I were to look enough.
Probably. Certainly this doesn't have to be an exhaustive list, but it will be useful for the next session that we play, which again is not next week. So in closing, you guys have the same
Grizzle.
homework. Yeah, of course, Grizzle. And
Grizzle and his like kobold companions with the dragon that we befriended.
beautiful. You guys have the same homework that I gave Rob. Consider across these next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, what it would mean for your character to be an icon.
Alright.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Once you defeat the Great Ghoul, we're gonna explore like across the next decade what your characters grow into and the factions they end up leading.
They don't need a faction.
Well, they can still be a powerful person regardless. I guess you don't have to be an icon. You can just be an incredibly powerful person. All right, I will see all of you again on the 6th for the final big fight that hopefully we'll be able to complete in one session, but who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Until then.